The best division in football statistically, J-Mac and I have talked about this, is the NFC North. 8 games better. Look at the Packers and Lions schedules. Big brands, unlike the Chargers, a smaller brand where the NFL wants to introduce them in big games. The Packers schedule. The only part of the Packers schedule, the toughest 2-game slate, is week 16 and 17 at the Bears and the Texans. They don't need to advertise the Packers. They're going to protect the Packers. They'll put some tougher games late. They don't need to advertise them. Chargers, second biggest team in L.A. Harbaugh, Herbert, O-line back. They want to put the Chargers up front, not punish them, because they give them easy landings after it, easy tarmac before it. Look at the...
Yeah. So, the Packers are being shielded. I'm attempting to keep pace with this because I'm trying to produce videos for every single franchise right now, to the best of my capability. And Colin has been adopting a very intriguing perspective on all of this. He's very much, and I'm doing my utmost to avoid repeating myself every single time, but essentially, he's examining the schedule through the question of what the NFL desires. Is a team being penalized or protected? Are they being given favorable or unfavorable treatment? That the league is very deliberate in how these fixture lists are assembled. Now, I'm evaluating all this in real time. Every video you're watching, at least right now in this segment, I'm seeing the schedule for the first time as we speak. When everything was released, I didn't go and study it. I'm looking at it all right now, live. And actually, this is one of the most advantageous schedules I've come across so far. I've only reviewed 3 or 4. But this is definitely the most favorable I've seen up to this point. And I realize that's because the NFL is protecting them, or that they want the Chargers to be out there and they don't need the Packers to, I don't know. I'm trying hard to keep up. It's a little chaotic right now. It's a little crazy at the moment, but you know, opening against the Minnesota Vikings, whether that's Kyler Murray or J.J. McCarthy, massive advantage for Green Bay. Massive advantage for Green Bay. The only potential downsides are: maybe a key defender isn't there, so your defense isn't exactly what you want it to be, and you're facing a division rival. So, okay, sure. And I'm not going to try to play the game of figuring out exactly who is returning when and who isn't. Same thing with Tucker Kraft, I think that's just too difficult to predict. But then you have the New York Jets and the Atlanta Falcons. The Jets should be straightforward. The Falcons will be interesting. Is it Tua? Is it Michael Penix? What's the storyline there? The Buccaneers obviously have the Packers on their list. And then the Bears, you know, I just think this division in general, even when you don't have elite quarterbacks or elite coaches, or it seems like one team is going to be great and clearly better than the others, the NFC North absolutely lives up to the reputation that divisional games are awesome. They prove that year after year, especially obviously last season. So I'm not going to pretend, oh well, clearly the Packers are better than the Bears, or oh well, the Bears are better than the Packers. That doesn't even matter. No matter who's superior, no matter who's the true championship contender, no matter who has the true top 5 quarterback, it doesn't matter. That matchup is going to be compelling regardless. Whether it was Malik Willis or Jordan Love, Caleb Williams or, I can't recall their backup quarterback's name right now. Whatever it was, Tyson Bagent, right? Tyson Bagent? Something like that. Then you have He Dallas Cowboys. We remember what happened the last time they faced each other. The Lions, obviously another divisional game. Your guess is as good as mine. Panthers, Patriots, Vikings again. Again, did Kyler Murray just get benched? Did J.J. McCarthy just get benched? Are they rolling? Are people saying, oh my god, with Kyler Murray, this is the Super Bowl winner now, right? It'll be interesting. Then you have a bye, and then you lead into the Rams. That should be a tough contest. The Saints, I think, will be a harder game than it appears on the surface. Then you have the Bills, which I think will always be competitive because it's Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. The Miami Dolphins, and then you have the Bears and the Texans, and then that Week 18 game, that coveted final match of the regular season, which can either mean everything or absolutely, positively nothing. So, yeah. I do think we're in for a very fascinating season where these Week 18 games are going to be absolutely, positively compelling. Because I suspect there will be more situations than ever where that last game of the year will truly decide the division or leave a team on the outside looking in for the playoffs. Since I just think everything is so contested, congested, and competitive right now, it's harder for me to see otherwise. Because a lot of the time, those final games are always a bit strange. They don't matter for many matchups, and for some teams that they do matter for, it's either a pretty B. Is our scenario where you need like 5 different things to happen, or it's simply, oh, this team needs to win, but it doesn't really matter to the other team, so they're resting all their starters. Like what happened in 2024 with the Broncos and the Chiefs, right? It mattered for the Broncos, but it didn't matter to the Chiefs, so they sat everyone. That created an imbalanced contest. I don't think we'll have that this time. I think the Lions had a front row seat to that in 2024 when they faced the Minnesota Vikings. What we saw with the 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. I think we're seeing more and more of those moments, and I believe it's infiltrating all of these divisions right now, really, whether it's the NFC East, the NFC North, the AFC West, the NFC West as well. I don't remember which ones I've already mentioned. So my gut tells me that Week 18 game probably won't be meaningless, which then makes it pretty interesting because, I do think the Bears, the Texans, and the Lions could be a tough stretch, so to speak, but it is the final 2 games at home, back-to-back. However, you have a Monday night football game against the Texans, and then that Week 18 game will be on Sunday, so technically that's short rest, so to speak. So I think that'll be a little bit interesting, I suppose, but yeah. I'm trying to wrap my head around the protection versus punishment argument that Colin is kind of going through and making with all these teams. In terms of the schedule itself, I don't know. I really don't know. I just think, I don't know. I'm curious how it all lands for you guys, because I'm really ripping through these videos right now, and so I haven't been able to read the comments from the previous videos regarding the whole idea of the NFL really strategically organizing the order of the schedule in terms of this protection versus punishment dynamic. And the fact that the Packers, and I made a whole video about this earlier today, about the holiday games, about how a team like the Packers, the Eagles, etc., those are blue-blood franchises that, of course, over the years will go up and down, left and right, and have this coach, this quarterback, that quarterback, but they are consistently popular. They have the big bulk of their fans being true, locked-in supporters who are obsessed with their team. Not only do they know their own team deeply, but a lot of them are also going to watch other games as well. They'll be very interested in the Bills versus the Chiefs and so on. Whereas you have other franchises that are also very popular, maybe even technically more popular than a team like the Packers, but their fan base is overinflated with supporters who aren't as locked in. I use the Chiefs as an example, or the Cowboys. Those fans aren't watching all the games. They're not interested in some of these other matchups. And even though they're fans of their own team, they don't really know the team deeply, not to the same extent as fans of some other franchises. Of course, other really deep fan bases exist as well. And there are certainly fans who are locked into the Chiefs and other teams too, like the Cowboys and all that. But from my experience, certain teams, certain franchises, like the Packers, the Eagles, etc., I see them, I know they're Packers fans, I know they're Eagles fans. I know because I have conversations with them in the comment section. And then I see them having deep discussions about other teams and other quarterbacks. I see it, right? I see it way more. Way more for certain teams. And the Packers are one of them. I'm curious how that translates into viewership numbers. Because what really surprised me was that the Packers-Bears playoff game actually drew a lot fewer viewers than I expected. Maybe it's because it was streaming. I know it was described as the most streamed game, but that's streaming, so it's a very specific metric. It was 31.61 million. The Eagles 49ers game was in the 40s. I think it was around 44 million if my memory serves me correctly. And I'm just thinking, this is the Bears and the Packers. And we just saw the Bears and the Packers play each other in the regular season near the end of the year, and both of those games were box office. So that was pretty interesting to me. You can see, the Eagles and the 49ers drew 41 million viewers, the most watched wild card game since 2022, and it was one of the most watched playoff games overall. It was comparable to the AFC and NFC championship games. So I found that pretty surprising, honestly, considering what was at stake, the division rivalry, and 2 massive brands. And again, maybe it was because of the whole streaming situation, that could definitely be a factor. But yeah. I think this is actually a pretty exciting schedule if you're a Packers fan. Looking beyond the whole being protected or punished, I look at the schedule and I think, okay, it's game on. Like, game on. I don't really look at this and think, man, I don't know, this is I don't mind playing this team, but I wish it was a little later in the season when I knew we'd have a key player back. I don't really see any of those glaring issues where I'm just like, man, I wish we were at home for this game, or on the road in December again, it's freezing. I don't necessarily see it. If anything, it's the opposite, right? You have the Texans at home in the freezing cold in Week 17. That's a very specific situation for a Houston Texans team. Same thing with the Miami Dolphins in Week 15, and that'll probably be a rematch, not a rematch, but a game against Malik Willis, which will be interesting. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that stands out to me is that it would have been nice to play the Rams at home, right? In the cold, to make Matthew Stafford have to play in the cold and all that. But outside of that, I think it's actually a pretty great schedule. And a bit enviable if you're some of these other teams. I'm on the record saying this, so I do want to emphasize that I do think the whole strength of schedule argument and whatnot, all of that is pretty close together no matter the schedule. But I still find this, surprising to me even. I find this a pretty favorable schedule that should give you a lot of optimism about the margin for error this season. Because I think that's ultimately how I look at schedules, what's the margin for error? Since I always say, listen, if you're a great team, you're going to win. If you're not, right? I have no desire to look at it like, okay, well, you're not really that good of a team, but because of your schedule, you'll be competitive in this, that, and the other. To me, that's a silly way to look at it. So I'm either looking at you and asking, are you great or not? Yes or no? And if you are, well, then it's game on, let's get after it. But then the next level of that is, well, what's the margin for error, right? Do you have a slightly wider margin for error, which then gives you room to drop a random game against the Jets or something, like the Packers have done, especially last season, right? Does it give you a wider margin for error? And I do think this schedule at the bare minimum does that. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Green Bay Packers being protected now, being shielded by the NFL? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.